So, the 20th anniversary of 911 coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Constant Logical Reason. As always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So, today marks the 20th anniversary of the terrorist attack that took place on 911 20 years ago. And, it's just amazing that it's been 20 years that this actually happened. It's one thing to, talk, to hear about history from the standpoint of something that you weren't here to see, such as Pearl Harbor. But when you were here to see the event and incident, like which I was here, it's a different story. And like I said, I just can't believe it's been 20 years now, because it's almost like it may have, it feels like it may have been maybe 10 years ago, but it's history now. And, we all have our stories. Everybody, I'm pretty sure everybody remembers where they were and what was going on at the time, that that Tuesday morning. We all woke up that morning and had no idea what we was in store for the rest of the day. Now, me personally, back then, I worked for Cox Communication, which is the local local cable company here in my area, and I was a technician, and I did troubleshooting and service calls. Anyway, I woke up that morning, like I said, had no idea what would happen. I went to work as I would with any other morning that I had to go. And I basically went there, made all my preparations, got my van, and I left my meter at home because I brought it home to charge. And I had to come home and get it. Of course, the meter we use to basically determine the signal strength, which helps us aid us in the troubleshooting process. So I came home to get my meter, and my wife was home with my two youngest children, and she was watching the news, the TV, and it was on, and I saw the World Trade Center, and it seems to me like fire was coming from it. I thought it was just a building that was burning. I didn't think much of it because I was just going home to get my meter and get out the door, get to work. Anyway, I didn't stay very long, so I got my meter, and I was listening to the radio, and I heard on a local music station that a plane hit the World Trade Tower. So that's what it was. It wasn't just a fire, as I thought when I just saw it on TV and saw the smoke. And again, didn't think much of it. So I got to my first service call, and it was like 5 to 10 minutes later, and I was greeted by a black female, and I still remember the words she told me, or she asked me, and she asked me, what, we at war, right? And I was like, what are you talking about? Again, still having no clue. So I basically did what I was supposed to do, and I'm thinking, okay, a plane crashed into the World Trade Tower, and it was going to be an issue that day, but I had no idea that it was a terrorist attack. Again, so when I was finished with that job, I got back in the car, my van, to go to the next place. But I put the local radio station on, the news station on, because I know they will give more in-depth coverage, and it'll be like 24-hour coverage of it. And this is when I believe I finally heard it was two planes that crashed into the World Trade Center. And like I said, it was just two. There was no way it was just a coincidence that both buildings were struck by planes. So the notion of basically it was a terrorist attack. It didn't take me long to come to that realization. So I had been basically, I was paying attention to it, kept up with it the whole day. Every time I got back into the van, I would listen to it, and inevitably, you see the coverage, news coverage, and you see those people jumping out of those buildings, and you're like, man, what were they going through? It must have been extremely hot with all that jet fuel on fire, and the fires raging in the portions of the building. And then, of course, later on that day, you hear that one of the buildings collapsed. I heard, wow. It was like, wow, that the building actually collapsed. Again, then later on hearing that the second building collapsed, and like, okay, yeah, this was a major event, a day that would absolutely live in infamy, even more so than Pearl Harbor. The one thing about Pearl Harbor was it was back in the 40s. They didn't have the media, the 24-hour media news coverage. You know what I'm saying? So it really did hit home because in 911, you're talking about a worldwide event. Everybody was tuning in. That's how huge it was. Anyway, like I said, it was a horrific event. All those people lost their lives. Those brave police officers and firefighters who rushed to the building to save people's lives, doing their job, had no idea that this could have been their last day alive. And when those buildings collapse, and I've seen the videos, I've looked back and we watched the videos and hear people's experience, and I can imagine how how loud it had to be. And then when you see the puff of smoke, the cloud of smoke just rushing to people running, trying to get in the doors, trying to get away from the oncoming smoke. I'm like, man, one thing to see it on TV, but I guarantee you it was a whole nother thing being there and personally seeing it for those people. Man, to feel all that concrete and steel just crumble on, hit the ground, must have been a serious, almost felt like an earthquake. But man, and I know that the next day, we all had a moment of silence. We had, every Wednesday we would have a meeting. We all had a moment of silence, and like I said, I still remember that day. Just amazing how sometimes our life is precious. People always say that life is short. I don't think that life is short because, if you look at the average lifespan of everybody, I wouldn't say that life is short, but man, when you see situations, a situation like that, and it hasn't, and it was, trust me, it wasn't the first and it wasn't the last. We've had other horrific situations happen, but 911, a day that will really and truly live in infamy, and I won't forget it. I won't forget where I was and what I was doing. And I don't think many other people will. But anyway, here's the 20-year anniversary, and this event that I witnessed myself is officially history now. But man, anyway, y'all, like I said, I'm pretty sure y'all have y'all story. Everyone who has their story, who was here, who was old enough to remember. But man, what a horrific situation. I say, like I said, it's even worse than what Pearl Harbor was. You look at the impact that it had upon us. It was like the economic hub of America and really the world. New York, the World Trade Towers was the economic hub of the world, and it collapsed like that. But man, anyway, that's my 2 cents on this 20th anniversary, and I'm pretty sure there'll be many more videos out there. People will be talking about it the whole day. But like I said, the people who survived, I'm glad that they got out the buildings. A lot of people did. And I just even today prayer for all the family members people who lost family members and had to go on. It was basically a very horrific event. But anyway, y'all, like I said, this is my anniversary to the 911 20-year anniversary history. And really, that's really no more can be said. It was like I said, you can go back and watch the videos of the collapsing buildings and everything, and I have, and it's just, the more you watch it, it just never gets old. But anyway, y'all, as always, until next time.